welcome back to the Johnathon Cole Show. We are here at the Fenolio Boot Booth, Cowboy Christmas, the second floor at the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And today it's Q Taylor from Nanton, Alberta, one of our saddle bronc riders, our top 15 rookie year to the NFR. Q, welcome to my show. Thank you for being on here with me. I'm excited to talk about a storybook year for you in the saddle bronc riding.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Started out in the winter and kind of got things rolling pretty good, and then cooled off kind of June and July, and then August and September turned her back on and got here. It was pretty fun.
It's not very often we get to see a competitor that not only goes to his first Canadian finals 2025, but your first national finals all in the same year. How did you take all that in, and how did you maintain that composure? Because when we look back a couple of months ago to the Canadian finals, it wasn't just an average Canadian finals for you. You won a heck of a lot of money, second in the average. You stuck right there with the great Zeke Thurston. How did you keep that momentum, especially in your first year?
Rolling into the Canadian finals, we were, the day before, Ben and I were actually at the Survey Bronc match at the Battle of the Dunes there at the ranch. We actually missed the back number ceremony. So we flew in the morning of the first perf, and we just rolled into it just like another rodeo. We'd been rodeoing really hard all through September because him and I had both been on the bubble. So just rolled into Edmonton there, got there like an hour before the perf started, which is normally the time we get there for a normal rodeo anyways, and we just treated it like that and drew really good. And yeah, if it wasn't for Zeke, then I might have had a Canadian championship, but that guy rides really good, and I was just very fortunate to be able to draw the horses I did there and have the week I did. That was a lot of fun.
It was. So I got a chance to go to Justin McKee's broadcast school, so we were right in there when you turned, like when the heat got turned up for you there at the back end of the season. A big win at Pendleton, which, you know, probably secured your spot to this year's National Finals Rodeo. Did you, like, when you went into Pendleton, was the pressure on for you there? Like, you're like, I need to do something here if I want to make this shot a reality?
Pendleton gave me a shot. So after I won Pendleton, I wasn't safe. I was sitting 18th in the world after that, and that had just bumped me back up to having a shot. I still had Mandan and Sioux Falls after that, and so there was kind of pressure all through the fall, right till the very end. I didn't secure my spot until after the short round of Sioux Falls, but I never really felt too much pressure there at Pendleton or through Sioux Falls or all them rodeos. I just had in my mind that if I was going to make the finals, I was going to make the finals my way and ride bucking horses my way, and that's big spur outs and setting your feet as hard as you can and trying to get everything you can out of every horse you get on. And it just worked out this year that I won a whole bunch of money out of Sioux Falls, and just kind of, I think Steve Kenyon told me yesterday that I won about $100,000 in the month of September between, September plus the Canadian finals. So that's pretty cool to do, to go on a heater like that, and then rolling into the NFR with that too, all that momentum on your side, which this is a completely different beast down here, but it sure feels good to have the confidence to come down and ride with these guys, and I know I can win against them and kind of show up and show out, because man, the bronc riding right now is just crazy, the amount of talent, especially in the top 15, but we're deep. Like, anybody in the top 50 on any given day can go jump out there and win a rodeo.
For sure. And so when you came into this year's NFR, it was your first time. Big moment for you in that building, iconic building, and you're the first out on day one at your first NFR. What's going through your mind at that moment? Like, this is it.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there's also nothing too. It's I try to be as calm as I can getting on, and I felt myself kind of getting jacked up before I got on, and I just reminding myself, keep breathing. And I watched the video back the other day of my first round there, and you can see me. I take a big breath before I get on, and that's something that my good friend Clay Elliott always has told me, just keep breathing. And my mind stayed clear all through my ride and like through my shoot procedure and stuff. And my first 2 round horses, they're kind of tougher in their shoot. They like to lay on the gate a little bit, so we had to mess around with them a little bit to get them standing upright. And I was happy with myself that I didn't take anything in a poor position, but I didn't mess around in there. I got in there, got out, got stuff situated, and just kept rolling. But yeah, when you first walk down the tunnel to the Thomas and Mack for your first round of your first NFR, it's you kind of look up and like, this is what I've been dreaming about my whole life. So it's a feeling that I can't really describe, but it's I have always expected myself to be here, and it was almost like I've done it. And now there's 10 head of the best bucking horses in the world for me to go get on, and it's just been a blast all week.
Well, and we talked about it. Skip Ransom and I talked about it right here in a little interview after night number 1, and I said, it was like you've been doing it for 40 years. It was just like you nodded your head, you came out, and it was like the pressure wasn't there. You just rode that horse like you've rode so well all year long, and it was really fun to watch. And it's been really fun to watch for the last 7 rounds how well you've held and composed yourself through this major accomplishment in your life.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had one bauble there. I had that I'm a Dandy of Birch Rodeos, and he is a bronc rider's dream. And I've maybe missed one horse out my whole career, and I decided to miss him out at my first NFR. So that wasn't real smart, but that's in the past now.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So, you're riding real well. I think it was round 4, was it, when you missed him out?
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah. So what did you have to do to tell yourself, okay, we're just going to let that one go, the bad deal? How do you move on from that? How do you come back from that just to be like, oh, man?
Yeah, I mean, like Zeke told me, he's like, don't be too hard on yourself. I've missed horses out to win the world before, and he said it happens. Everybody that rides broncs has probably missed a horse out, and to do it in the Thomas and Mack kind of sucks, but like he said, he's done it here before, and you just can't fret on anything for too long. Like don't take the highs too high or the lows too low. I like to kind of stay pretty level-headed, and I knew I'd made a mistake there. It wasn't really necessarily, I watched the video back 1,000 times, and I can't really figure out what happened there to make that foot drop, but it did, and we can't change that. So onward and upward. And the next day we had the eliminators running in. And when you're getting on them, you don't want to have any doubts in your mind. It's got to be go time, and you got to be confident in your stuff and your saddle and yourself. And I just kind of was like, well, I made a mistake, and I won't tomorrow. I'm going to have the best spur outs for the rest of the week. And so far, it's been kind of looking that way.
Yeah, it's been really good. So we talked about earlier on before we got on here that, about your 2024 season. Tell me about that, because you had a really good rookie season. You ended up 18th in the world that year. What happened to going into 2024?
Coming into 2024, with the fall of 23, I was on the bubble trying to make my first NFR, and I broke my saddle in San Bernardino. And I took it home, and I had Sioux Falls left, and I pulled my saddle apart in Dad's workshop there at the house, and I got it fixed up the best I could. It was JB welded here and there, and some steel mesh plates in there holding it together, and went to Sioux Falls and won second in the first round, and then I got thrown off in the second round there and that cost me my first NFR. But I didn't think twice about my saddle. I just kept rolling. I had another one ordered, of course, but I thought that one would be fine. So we go to Houston, and
this is 2025 season now?
This would have been the following year in 24.
Oh, 24, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Go to Houston, I break that saddle again, and I had a brand new saddle at the time too, and it lasted another 4 weeks probably, and then I broke that new saddle. So then I was riding a buddy's saddle that he lent me when I sent those other two away to get fixed. And I mean, I was from jumping from saddles every 2 weeks trying to get something to work. And then I had one of the saddles that I originally started in, and I was in that for a week, and then I was just jumping around it's hard to ride consistent when you're not in the same tub every time, and I don't believe that your Bronc saddle makes you or breaks you to too much of an extent, but just to have the same feeling under you every time is kind of important. And I wasn't really drawing that good either, and then I would get a good one, and I would kind of pressure up and think, well, here's my opportunity. I can't mess this one up, and I've got to make this one count. And of course, it would never go my way. And then towards the end of the year there in 24, I turned things around and won 20,000 or something like that, and got myself back into the top 35 and got qualified for all the winter rodeos. And I was really ready for rodeos to be over in 2024, and I just wanted to go home and get my saddles fixed and get everything squared away there and hit her again in 25. And I actually ended up switching saddles this spring because I got everything fixed and go to Houston again and broke another saddle.
You're hard on them saddles.
I'm so hard on them. And then I switched saddle makers to the one I'm riding now, and it's been rock solid ever since April, and I can be really consistent in that saddle. It's built really well. It holds up, so I'm glad I got that figured out finally.
Did your mentality change when you went into 25 season? Did you really have to sit back and re-examine how you were going to do things in 2025? Because I imagine coming out of 2024, like you said, you were a little bit, maybe down in the dumps, being like, oh, this year can just be over so we can start again. So what was the key to helping you move to 2025 where you had a exceptional year?
In 2025, I guess I'll back up a little bit. My mindset prior to this year has always been go make your Bronc ride and basically don't make a mistake. And that kind of comes from my dad and his timed event background, and that gets you to being consistent. But to jump out there and win Pendleton or a big rodeo like that, you can't just not screw up. You've got to go out there and do something exceptional. So I kind of thought about it for a while, and I said to myself, I know how to spur them out, I know how to lift on my rein, and I know how to set my feet. And now I've just got to turn it up to 10 and do it wide open as hard and as fast as I can go. And Case Thompson, he's one of my best childhood friends and still rodeoed, and he would always tell me when I was getting on, like kind of last minute inspiration, get you pumped up. He's like, all right, wide open, hard as you can go. And I would just always kind of push him off or not really pay that much of attention to that. And then I got thinking about it. I was like, no, that's right. That is what I need to do if you're going to go and beat the Wrights and beat Zeke and Ben and Logan. And everybody now is so good that you do have to show off and don't be afraid to try to put 24-point spur ride on a bucking horse. And that's what got me to where I am right now, is just that little switch in mentality. Is because if you're going to hang a jump and miss a jump, you might as well get bucked off because you're not going to get a check anyways. So it's got to be hair straight back, wide open. And that's kind of the bronc riding got a lot funner for me doing that too, because when you're just going through it, being real consistent, making good bronc rides, but you're, say, 84 to 86 points every time, you'll get some checks here and there, but at a bronc match you normally need to be 87 and a half to make a short round. So, and there's a lot of money to be won at them bronc matches. So you gotta go and expose yourself and show them judges that you can stick it on the best horses out there, and if you go down, you go down, and you don't let that affect you because you went down swinging.
And is that a mentality that you've had all the way through? Like, it's either all or nothing. We're not going to play this one safer than the next one. It's just let it all hang out there and see where the chips fall at the end of the 8 seconds?
Yeah, especially this year. I used to ride bulls a little bit through high school and college, and I definitely did think that way in the bull riding because you can't really back down from anything there. And that's probably why Dad would get so frustrated at me roping calves. He's like, well, you can take a swing over their back and set your run up a little bit better. And it's like, well, why would I do that? So we had some arguments about that in the past. But, yeah, it's just, it got to the point where I was doing consistent, not beating myself, but I was not really going out there that extra little step to like go on the edge a little bit more to really be impressive. And once I got that figured out, it, like I said before, it got a lot funner. And then you're doing it and you're like 88 to 91 for the last month is basically was my average scores. And when rodeos are going like that, it's a blast. And you can't wait to get back in the truck and go to the next one and do it again.
Now, when we talk about the tie-down rope, and sometimes you can take an extra swing. Sometimes you can, make that extra swing that's going to, you still be in the money. In the rough stock events, do you have that opportunity to maybe safety up a little bit?
I don't think so, especially not out here. Because if you think about safetying up and maybe just getting one road, say in the eliminator round or something like that, if it's how you take the power away from a bucking horse is reaching up there and taking a hold of him with your feet and picking up on your rein. And if you're gonna miss a jump and safety up, if he's swooping or throws his head at you or whatever, it's gonna cost you. You might stay on that jump, but then you're behind. And then you're getting ripped on and your head's normally flying around. And so I really don't think you can. I think you're at a disadvantage if you think that you can safety up. Your best safety net is just being aggressive and spurring through whatever they throw at you.
Yeah, so how do you manage that? Because when you come to the NFR, like it's, 36,000 round every night. But it's also 90,000 if you ride all 10 and you're the best after 10 days. Where does that come into your mindset about, okay, is it 36,000 round and 90,000, or is it 90,000? Like, where does that play into it? Because being able to stay on all 10 of them is going to pay off with a lot of money too.
It is. But you also have Zeke Thurston that's going to stay on all 10 of them, and he's going to be north of 85 every time he gets on too. So yeah, you can stay on all 10, and that's probably going to be fine. But you also need to make a good bronc ride out there. And like my mental game on that is it's pretty simple to me because I only have one game plan, and it doesn't matter what I'm getting on. I'm gonna go out there and try to do the best I can on it and not have any backup and not slow down or safety up at all. So when safetying up is not even a question in your mind, it makes it very simple to just go out there and make the best ride possible. It'd be like running at the barrier in the Bulldog and then going to try and be 3 flat. And that it is kind of interesting because going back to Clay Elliott, that guy's been a huge part of my career, helped me since the very start. And of course he got hurt and he went from being one of the top bronc riders in the world. Now he's roping calves, and I was at his house the other day. We were hanging out, shipping some calves and preg checking cows and stuff, and I just wanted to pick his brain. I said, how did you change your mental game from the Bronc riding to win, especially the way he rode. He didn't have any backup in him. There was never a question. And if he took the ground, he took the ground. And so I asked him, I said, how does that translate back to the calf rope? And he's like, well, it does get me a little bit because I do get excited and want to go win first. And then I might miss one because I'm trying to rush things and not setting my run up the way I need to do. And he said it's a lot more complicated because you got to set different game plans for different setups and different calves, and maybe you just got to go get 2 knocked down to make a short round somewhere and stay good in the average. Where in the Bronc riding, yeah, you can go stay on 2, make the short round, and you'll be good in the average, but you're probably not going to win the rodeo because come short round, you're probably going to be 10 points behind the leader, and it's awfully hard to make 10 points up on these guys out here because it's not very likely that you don't win a short round being under 90. So the mindset to me has got my mindset has got a lot more solid, and my mental game I feel like is unfazed a lot more too, since I've kind of thrown all caution to the wind and just had that same game plan every single time I nod my head.
What's your, let's step back to the early Q Taylor. What was the foundation that built this Q Taylor? What did it, let's talk about your background. Let's talk about your dad a little bit because he's a great calf roper for many, many, many years. Let's talk a bit about that foundation that built you up to be this mindset now.
Yeah, so my dad, he always roped calves and bulldogged in the FCA rodeos at home and pro rodeoed for a little bit too. And we would rope calves every day in the summertime through junior high school rodeo and high school rodeo. And I did rope calves pretty good for a while there, and then I got to the point where I was riding bulls too and riding novice broncs, and I wasn't practicing roping calves as much. And if I'm going to rope, I need to be practicing and doing it every day to be good. And I just didn't have the time for it anymore and wanted to kind of go more the rough stock side of things anyways. And I still definitely love roping and riding horses and stuff too. Maybe not competing in the roping as much, but I like riding young horses. And Ben and Logan and we all go to Texas in the wintertime and take a bunch of young horses down there and rope on them. Gives us something to do down there, and then bring everything home in the summertime. And then we've got, if we're home for a day or two, we've got something to go treat a cow on or just rope on. But yeah, so through junior high school rodeo, I did every event I could. So I shoot dogged, calf roped, ribbon roped, team roped, rode the bulls there in the. We had the program called Build a Cowboy, and that was the Bronc saddles on the like old Coriani roping steers, and they just kind of waller around there. And so I did that, and I got on and rigging a few times on them too. So I was really busy at the high school rodeos and the junior high rodeos. And then moving on to the high school rodeos, I team roped and roped calves, rode bulls and broncs, and I was pretty successful in all 4 events. Then getting to college, I just roped calves and rode bulls and rode broncs, and I only ever team roped it unless somebody on the team needed a partner. And I've always kind of got some enjoyment out of being able to be the bronc rider on the college rodeo team that could go jump on a head horse and turn somebody some steers, or jump on a calf horse and go tie some down. I've always got some enjoyment out of being able to have all those skills to go do that. And but through college, I kind of realized that I wanted to ride broncs more than ride bulls, and up until that point, I was definitely a better bull rider than a bronc rider. Case Thompson and I, we amateur rodeoed at home really hard together in 2019, and we had our FCA cards, LRA cards, WRA, CCA, and then we got invited to the Chinook finals too. So we made every amateur finals we could. Between him and I, we won about 110,000 between the two of us, and we maybe had like 5,000 between the two of us in the bronc riding. We were very inconsistent. Kays definitely was ahead of me in the bronc riding, but we did show up to every rodeo and win first and second in the bull riding most times, and that was a lot of fun too. That built my confidence to when you showed up to the rodeo, you knew you could go win, and kind of started this mindset now of learning how to win and how to handle it and how to keep winning. A lot of that did come from the bull riding. And then after my freshman year of college, I was I won the region in the bull riding my freshman year, went to the college finals, made the short round, and I think I went into the short round like 7th in the world or something like that. And Tristan Hutchinson, he won the world that year, and he got on right before me. He jumped out there. He was like 91 and a half, made a great bull ride, and I was the last guy out or something. Maybe close to the end there, and I was from Casper College. College finals is in Casper. They're jamming this place out, and it is just loud in there. Everybody's screaming and hollering for me. And I remember I was getting down on that bull, and I was thinking, man, I wish this was a bronc. And of course, when you're thinking like that, you're not going to ride very good. So he bucked me off. I started a pretty good bull ride, but didn't finish it. And after that, I talked to Sandy Bob, my rodeo coach, and he's a great guy. And I said, Bob, I don't know how many bulls I'm going to get on anymore. And he kind of smiled and laughed and said, I wonder when this day was coming, because your bronc riding career is going to be as far as you want to take it. You've got the ability. So I got on a handful of bulls after that, and maybe like 2 or 3 more. And after that, I called it quits and took my permit and rodeoed with Ian McGivney down here at the Mountain State Circuit, and won the Mountain State Circuit finals. And I actually had 2 permit years because I was going back to school for another year, and got that kind of wrapped up and took my rookie card. And Sandy Bob said, don't worry about coming back to school, we're all good here. And I went rodeoing, and was very fortunate to have Ben and Logan pick me up in their rig. They'd made the finals both a couple times at that point in time, so to be able to just go and not only get in with NFR guys, but kind of younger guys that are like-minded, that are definitely fun havers. We have a blast everywhere we go. There's never a dull moment around those two. So it's I was very fortunate to be able to get into that rig, and we've been missing Logs a lot out here this week. Ben and I have no idea what we're supposed to do. He's our manager and our secretary, and he always organizes us. And I always joke about it. Logs is our entry guy and organizes us, and I drive a lot, and we're kind of still trying to figure out what Ben brings to the table other than entertainment. But yeah, no, they're great guys, and I couldn't ask for better traveling partners.
So Ben and I, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. Who has been the inspiration for you then on the business side of rodeo? Who has taught you, like where you need to go, where you need to enter? What is going to get you the best success in any given rodeo year?
I really don't enter that many rodeos myself. We'll talk about it a little bit in the rig if we want to go to this place or this place, and Ben and I we rely a lot on Logan there. I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but we just don't want to question him, because he's very good at entering, and he knows all the horses really good. So we just kind of leave it up to him. Before rodeo and with Ben and Logan, I was entering myself, and to figure that stuff out, it's a little complicated to do, but you just kind of know your horses and where you want to go. And of course, at that point in my career, I was just trying to enter the biggest rodeos I could get into and give yourself a chance that way, because the rodeo is set up that way with qualifications and stuff. So when you're first on your permit, you get into kind of little circuit rodeos, and then once you get some money won, then they'll let you into some bigger rodeos, and you kind of just got to keep building on that, and then you get to being in the top 20, and then you're entering the best rodeos every week and getting on the best horses every week, but you're also fighting it out day in and day out with the best guys in the world. So you've got some duck off rodeos you can go and try and hit and win some money on. Like Canada back in the day kind of used to be pretty good for a bronc rider to go duck off up there, because the horses were always really good up there. Like Kesslers were in their heyday. They had an outstanding set of bucking horses. Of course, you got Calgary, but then you also had like Wayne Vold, and everybody had a good pen up there. So like in Tyler Corrington and Court Shears and Chet Johnson's, like in their prime, they would always go to Canada because they'd get on good bucking horses, and it was kind of duck-offs for them. They didn't have to, they could kind of get away from them other guys and win another $20,000 that month. Or now the bronc riding in Canada is just as tough, if not tougher, than down here, because you've got guys like Nicholas Patterson up there. He don't really rodeo down here that much, but shoot, he whooped all of us at Ponoka this year. He got on Virgil, made a great ride on Virgil. So you've got guys up there that people down here have never even heard of that can jump out there and make a great ride on the horse of the year. So we don't really have the duck-offs anymore. So you can't get away from the good guys, and you just got to always be able to get yourself to rise to the occasion and not be afraid to let it all hang out there and try to just go win as much as you can.
And so when you talk about, let's take you back a little bit, because we talked about the tie-down roping and the team roping, your timed event stuff, bull riding, saddle bronc riding. Your dad was really influential in your timed event side. Who was the mentors in your rough stock side, or your rough stock career? Who was the ones that kind of built that for you?
Clay Elliott definitely for sure was huge. Like through high school and stuff, I was at Vernon Clay's all the time, and Clay and it didn't really matter what we were doing. If we were building fence or working in the hat shop with Vern, or riding horses or roping, whatever, it was just always, I was so, I'm blanking on the word, but I'll just say amazed by how somebody like him, because he's such a nice guy, kind of softer personality, could go get on a bucking horse and be that violent with his feet and ride that outstanding. And so I was always asking him questions, and he would never hold back either. He gave me every opportunity in the world to kind of get here. He gave me one of my first, where I had a pretty decent saddle when I started, and it was actually a Broken Arrow, and he gave me my first doll bronc saddle and said, you need to jump in this, it'll help you a little bit. So I got in that and kind of started figuring some more stuff out, and then it was kind of time to take off and go amateur rodeo, and he just got a new Sprinter van, but he also had an old Capri camper there that he used to rodeo out of. He didn't really want to sell, so he said, just throw that on your truck and take it too. So he set me up pretty good there to go amateur rodeo, and he, even to this day, I remember over the 4th this year, I was sitting in the Salt Lake airport getting ready to fly back home for Calgary, and I had not a very good 4th. I maybe won $800 over the 4th, and I was kind of not down, but just kind of confused, because I felt like I was riding good too. And I called him and I sent him a bunch of videos and just asked him what he thought, and he told me 2 things, and it completely changed everything. And a lot of what he said was just going back to breathing, relax. You know how to do this. You belong here. Let yourself go in. Don't get in your own way. And because he said, I believe in you, and you just got to figure out that you do deserve to be here and have fun with it too. So he was a big influence, and then Zeke's always been there for me too. Sandy Forbes, my rodeo coach, he's outstanding too. He'll you might not know what that guy's doing. You might not talk to him for a few months. He might be living on the side of a mountain under a tree, living off of spam, and you'll get a message somewhere before you get on, and it'll just be Sandy Bob and say, stick to the plan, cowboy, go have fun. And I've been very fortunate with the people that have been in my corner, and I don't want to exclude my dad from that either. He maybe didn't get on as many rough stock, but he understands rodeo very well, and he understands the ins and outs of it, and so there's a lot of that goes into it too. And yeah, I probably couldn't even name all the people that have helped me get to where I am right now. But yeah, Clay Elliott and Zeke and my dad would be probably, and of course Sandy Bob would be the biggest 4 that have been the most influential mentors towards me in my career.
Do you think that, and I mean, we talk about your dad, maybe not the rough stock, but do you think the foundation that he built you on, that work ethic through that timed event portion of your life, has played a major role in the saddle bronc rider that you are today?
I think so, for sure. Because if you kind of look back at this past year, I think I maybe turned out of 2 rodeos that I just said I don't want to go to. And that's a pretty low number. I went and tried a lot of bucking horses that most guys wouldn't. And every time you turn out of a tour rodeo, they take 10 tour points away from you. So if I turn out of, say, 8 more tour rodeos this year, then there goes 100 points. I don't get into Puyallup, I don't get into Sioux Falls, and I don't sit here right now because I don't make the finals. So being able to go and grind it out, especially through August, is you get to the summer grind there where you're just rodeoing and you're gone, and you're going to a lot of big rodeos and stuff, but horses are kind of scattered out a little bit, so you might not have a top 5 horse in the pen, but you should not count yourself out, because that horse might have a day. And I always told myself that, it's like, if you don't go, you don't have any chance at all. So go get on them. And if you're 78 points, you're 78 points, and then for next time it's like, well, maybe that horse isn't good enough to go get on here. But just that mentality kept me alive to be able to get to Sioux Falls through the tour standings and stuff. And that mentality definitely did come from Dad and roping calves and the timed event, and to like Ben, not to throw him under the bus, but I will. He'll just decide one week, he's like, I've got not very good horses this week. I'm just gonna stay home and get some stuff done at the house, which he's very busy at home too. So I do understand that you gotta kind of balance that out. But for me, I had to fight as hard as I could just to even get here. So I wanted every chance I could, and I didn't want to be losing points in them standings. So I was definitely fortunate to be able to think like that and not count myself out. So that would be kind of where my dad comes into things, is not counting yourself out and just being able to stay out there and stay grinding. And you might be 80 and a half for 6 horses in a row, and you might be not winning any money and might be half broke, but just to stay hungry enough stay pushing out there, because this is the goal, to be able to get out here, and whatever it's going to take, you got to be kind of willing to do. So yeah, I've been definitely fortunate with that.
What was that defining moment for you? I know you talked about that bull that you got on. You're like, that's probably the last bull I'm getting on. But you did also mention in there that you might have been a stronger bull rider. There was that potential for you to be just that good there too. What, and I imagine, I didn't ever get an opportunity to see you rope calves or do that kind of stuff, but I imagine, as talented as you are, you did okay in those events too. What was that deciding factor that said, hey, it's a saddle bronc riding and that's what I'm going to focus on?
Yeah, ever since I've been able to walk and talk, I've been telling people I was going to be a bronc rider. And yeah, you can ask anybody in my family, and that was what I was going to be, was a bronc rider. So that decision was never really made, I guess. It was just kind of, that was what I was going to do. It was, the biggest decision was kind of more of stepping away from the other events to focus more on the bronc riding. But yeah, I've always wanted to be a bronc rider. My grandpa rode broncs, and he had a bronc saddle in the basement, and I would kick around in it and kind of mess with it long before I even knew what I was doing. I was tiny, sitting down there in the basement messing around with it. And then through that Build a Cowboy program too at home, we had Rod Warren, Travis Whiteside, and Kirk Thompson there for a year or two, because Kays is a couple years older than me, so Kirk wasn't around for my whole junior high career. But we would get on a bucking machine there every weekend, and Rod told Dad after our first rodeo, and
let me just interject in there for something. Let's talk about that Build a Cowboy program. Talk about all that and what it entailed, and circle all that into this.
So the Build a Cowboy program had been going in Alberta long before it ever got to the national finals, or like or junior high school finals, sorry. And I think Kirk Thompson was one of the biggest founders in that, and the Calgary Stampede sponsored some little bronc saddles. I think there was like 3 or 4 G-bar Gs that Randy George made and sent up there, and they were like a 13 and a half, a 14 and a 14 and a half, so they're little. And then there was a bucking machine there too, and it would be, you could just come get on the bucking machine. You'd have good help there, guys that knew what they were doing, and show you what to do on the bucking machine, help you set your saddle. And we had Tom Erickson too. He was really good help too. And you learned everything. Once you kind of had the bucking machine part figured out, then they'd run in some old roping steers, and you just put your rein around their neck and put your saddle on them. And the steers, maybe you didn't learn as much bronc riding on them, because they're just kind of, they feel awful. They feel nothing like a bucking horse, but you learned your shoot procedure. And a lot of them kids that didn't ride bulls or ride steers or anything had never been on a live animal like that in the chute. So that gave them the opportunity to figure out like how to be on the back of the bucking chutes, and kind of like how to set your equipment up on, like saddling your steers and all of that. And there was a very good program that we were very fortunate to have. It maybe took some of the learning away from it when it got to be a competition to go to the national level, because it got to be a competition then, so it was more judged, and them guys couldn't help as much. But I still think it's a great program for building kids, and it was pretty safe too. The most dangerous part about it was trying to figure out how to get off a roping steer that was running off down the arena with 2 stirrups on your feet. Your best bet was just to kick your stirrups off and bail off. But it was just an opportunity to kind of show the bareback riding and the bronc riding to a younger set of kids, and maybe spark more of an interest of them becoming a bronc rider.
Do they still have that program in Canada?
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they do.
And how would you go about finding out about that? I mean, I think we can probably do the research and find out if that's still going in case there's somebody that, you know, has an interest in getting into this.
Yeah, it would just be through the Junior High School Rodeo Association, and you would probably just go onto the Alberta High School Rodeo website, and that would be you'd be able to look it up and buy your membership, and then go to the rodeos, and there would be good help around there too. And I know another great thing that's happened for bronc riding too, and Zeke's doing it. He's got his master class on Facebook that you can buy, and he goes through everything and kind of gives you a goal to go to, and just kind of helps some kids get set up. And it's not even just for kids. If you're a circuit bronc rider and you want to try and make the finals, then there's all sorts of different stages on there too that he goes through, and they're not all out yet, but he's definitely doing a lot of good there. And he's built an arena there at his house that they buck horses at. And the reason why Canada is so strong in the bronc riding is because you have so many willing people to go and help. So if you are interested in wanting to try it, then you reach out to Ben, Logan, Zeke, Dawson, Leighton, all of us. We all want to help whoever we can. So the best way to get a hold of us would be through Instagram or something like that. But yeah, and then it's a very poor excuse to say there's no one there to help, because we're all more than willing to do whatever we can. I know our schedules are pretty busy in the summertime, but we'll do what we can and try to help you out as much as we can.
So what would your advice be to that next generation, that kid that's trying to decide, you know, what his path is going to be in the rodeo world? What's your advice to that kid? How should they start? What should they do? What should they focus on to build themselves up to a pro rodeo career?
I would say the start of your career is the most crucial part of it, and you want to set yourself up for the most success as you can. So whether you go to the Build a Cowboy program, or you go to a school and go to a good school, and you don't have, like, if you're 13, 14 years old, you don't have to be getting on bucking horses. There's a lot more you can do to build yourself up to getting on a bucking horse. So when you're first time getting on, it's not just a whirlwind and you have no idea what you're doing. So ride a spur board and ride a bucking machine. There's a lot of people around that'll help you. You definitely just don't want to go at it by yourself, or maybe have the wrong help, because bad habits are hard to break. And so if you can go to a good school and then take something from that school and go home and work on it and just keep building yourself up, it's a ladder system. You're always climbing up and trying to get to the next level. So, and you definitely need people that know what they're doing to keep you safe and to allow yourself to be able to have the full potential as a pro rodeo athlete and make the best bronc rider you can. So yeah, you definitely want to go to a school and learn from the right kind of people.
Well, that's great. You know, I really appreciate you coming on here. You've had a sensational year, coming off of a year where you had a bunch of broken saddles and things weren't going your way. You turned it around. You came back, you didn't quit, you kept fighting, got to the CFR, got to the NFR. A true inspiration to many of the younger generation who are looking to get into the rodeo game. An inspiration for me. Thank you so much for coming on here. I sure appreciate it. Good luck in the next 3 rounds of competition. Still a ton of money left to be won. I'm looking forward to watch how the rest of the NFR plays out for you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you.